All right, welcome everybody. I'm just waiting to deliver. We should be streaming live on YouTube right now. So, welcome. As you know, my name is Suzanne Muir. I'm the major project coordinator. And if this is your first meeting, there actually is a YouTube video of our last meeting, but most of what we covered last time, we should be covering again. For those of people in your group who are unable, please tell them that they are certainly able to watch a replay on YouTube. And if for some reason we go beyond 100, because I only have 100 persons, everybody who goes after the 100 will clearly have to join YouTube to watch it. Right. So I'm going to just quickly first start off by sharing a little slideshow. I need to share screen. I'm going to share my screen and go to my slideshow. Go to the beginning, press save, and there we go. So we're just looking at my introduction to major project. So we're going to be talking about the application, the deliverables, the supervisory process, really briefly on academic writing for major projects and some resources. So there's going to be an application form. The link will be updated shortly. And the idea is to have rolling applications that finish by the end of November. There is an ethics application. We have a new ethics chair this year. So in 3 weeks, the meeting that's going to be in 3 weeks on October 28th. The ethics chair, Mr. Baker, should be giving a presentation at that time. Just to remind everybody, you're not supposed to start the data collection for your research project unless you get the approval of the Faculty Research Ethics Committee. Right? It will be very clear when you've gotten that permission. All right. I have somebody coming into the making marks on the screen. Oh, all right. I'm beginning to wonder if we're going to need to yeah. So the deliverables and deadlines, we have in terms of application, the application is between September to November. We're going to have the committee meet monthly. The ethics application, there is a suggested deadline. No, guys, it will be possible to have ethics application going beyond this, but you don't want it to go beyond February, because the later you start the collection of the data, the less likely you're going to be able to pass major project. Major project presentation this year will be in May, and you want the ethics application way in advance so you can start your data collection. So last year when we had these dates, people said they didn't know they could give it in afterwards, but it's a rolling application process. But since you need to be looking to be ready for the presentation and to be ready for the graduation, you want to do it early. So this is not the final possible date, this is the final recommended date. You want to work on grid review, a first draft by November 1st, chapters 1 to 3, a first draft by December 1st. And if you're doing either a project which has a mini development or major development, you should have the specs. I mean, really, even up to the application, you're going to write a little brief description of the project. But especially if it's a major project development, you need to be knowing what the specifications are by in this year. It will be good for you to start practice of your presentation. So the mini viva is 15 minutes long. So you start that from this year. So for next year, you'll be doing a mini viva that will be graded in front of a panel. You have to stick to 15 minutes. It's like 12 to 16 minutes long, not beyond that. But you're presenting your chapters 1 to 3 of your proposed project, because you by then you just started collecting data. Typically, this is not to present your work in progress, it's just present the proposal. And then you you could do it way before this, but your prototype and your chapter 4, you'll be good to have a draft by the end of March. And then we actually have a date for the final oral presentation. That is of all your 5 chapters. So for those who don't remember, chapter 1 is the introduction, chapter 2 is the review, chapter 3 is the method and procedure, chapter 4 is the analysis, chapter 5 is the conclusion and recommendations. That's what you're going to be presenting. And at the same time, you present that to the panel as a half-an-hour presentation, including your prototype. It might sound like a fully pattern. You know it's all about learning how to fit basically 9 months of work into a half-an-hour presentation. That in itself is a great accomplishment if you do it well. And then you must, as a group, submit the written project 2 weeks after the final vivo, May 31st. And then the lecturers would grade, the grade would come to you. So this grade submission is with an internal retake system. So the reason why I need to give this in so that we can have an internal grade thing that, by the way, there's a, within UTEC, there's a process between internal entry of grades, and then there must be several steps before it becomes validated. So it's not a 2-step. So this is not for you to get a grade. This is just the internal submission of grades. There will be both a paper and a poster competition, and I should have added as well. There will also be a competition for best archetype / prototype. I need to put that in. And for those who fail the project, so every single group will require to present in this date here, May 17th. We're required. And if you fail to present for whatever reason, unless it is because of illness, essentially you would have failed and then you have to resit. So the resit will be in July, the date is to be announced. And again, just like in semester 2. So the good news, guys, is like as in 3 years ago and before, this is after all final exams are over. So you get a little space between when final exams are over and when you actually do the oral presentation. And then you get 2 weeks after the oral presentation to submit the chapter 1 to 5, right? But if you, for whatever reason, if you have failed the oral vivo, or if you have failed the project submission, then you need to resit the presentation and to resubmit the submission. And these dates are also fixed because this last year, it was really problematic. The amount of students that were complaining because they begged to get extension and then they complained that that they were not able to, why is graduation processing taking so long? Because everybody was late. Students were late, lectures were late. So we're going to be really strict on the dates this year. And so this is the tentative project meeting, major project meeting dates. I will have some guests from time to time. So we have that. This is today. And we have more dates. So some of these dates may change. So if the dates change, you will get advance notice, or if there's illness or whatever might change. So at the moment, like next time, the ethics chair is planning to be there. In fact, I already know there's a conflict, so I'm wondering if that date might change. But right now, it's 4 meetings for semester 1 tentatively and 4 meetings for semester 2 tentatively. Okay. Somebody in the meeting room. All right. So, any questions about these deliverables and dates so far? Let me just pause on that. Any questions so far? No question so far? Okay, good.
Where could we access this document?
Oh, that's a good question. It will be put on the Google Classroom that I'm going to share the link with you before the end of this meeting. All right. So the supervisory process now. So the students who are being supervised. So one more thing, just as a caveat, there are some possibilities that, so as I said, just like I said that the these major project meetings could change. there's some possibility that some of these dates could change. Like for example, we're not going to change the January 28th, and I don't think we're going to change the Pen of Viva date. But if for some reason we were to change, we would tell you way in advance. So I'm pretty sure that this day, May 17th, May 31st, and January 20th, those dates are not going to change. You know, if for example we decide that we'll extend the application for 2 more weeks, we will tell you. But right now we're working with these dates until things change. Okay, so it's a possibility things could change. All right. So for the supervisory process now, you are expected, each person in a group is expected to contribute to every chapter. So this thing where people say they're going to divide the project so that one person do chapter 4, another person do chapter 3. No. Chapter 3 is divided between all the people in the group. And chapter 2 is reviews divided among all people in the group. And then there's some people too that say, oh, they did a great job. They don't say it to me. They do a great long review and then they don't need to do any more work. So let me give you an abstract example of one group I supervised last year. There were 4 students and 2 people who did a really brilliant job on chapters 1 to 3. And chapter 2 was really, really good, and chapter 3 was good. Chapter 1 was also pretty good. And some students joined with them, and they decided that it was good students, that they weren't going to do any more work. That's why I have to see it, because all I know is that they just kept not doing anything until I had to give them the right. And if I had to, but I chose to, because they had just all stopped doing work. Because the students were doing a lot of work when they 2 other people were weak, weren't doing more work. They decided they weren't doing more work. So I said, okay, if you guys want to fail major project, because you can't pass major project, we're just doing chapter 1 to 3. So they collected some data, and then the report was just the analysis and stuff was just horrible. I was like, what is this? I was like, I don't know what this is. Yeah, so it was a lot of pain on my part for me to spend a lot of time with them to show them that what was written and given to me didn't make any sense. And like, how could, including the bright students, be giving me this and thinking that I said, did you read what these other young men wrote? And yeah, and guys, it's because every single chapter is responsible for everybody in the group. But you can't say, oh, well, I've done a particular thing. No. So it could be that literally review, somebody does more work in that, but everybody must contribute to every chapter. And any part that is plagiarized, you're all collectively responsible. It's not happened to me yet, but I know. Please, when you come into the project, into the class, please mute yourself. Please sometimes, unless you have a specific question. Right. So I think you all know what I mean. Everybody must participate in every chapter, and you must actually meet with other group members. We don't care whether you're meeting them, through what, but I generally will suggest that it's more than just beyond a messaging app like WhatsApp, because messaging apps tend to be insufficient for all the kind of interaction. So probably video conferencing or, like serious interaction through other kind of things, tools might be useful in my opinion. Yeah, but anyway, and clearly we all know that plagiarism is not acceptable. It's actually grounds not just for failure, it's a ground for eviction from the university and from all universities. So all students in a group must participate if they want to get a grade in the first oral presentation, which is called the mini Viva, and the second oral presentation, which is called the final Viva. Remember when they said the dates? Mini Viva, January 20th this year, 2022, and final Viva, I've not forgotten the date, May 17th. We have dates already, so you can put it in your calendar from now. But I don't think we're changing those dates. You can put it in from now. If you have a job, you tell them from now that date you will be busy. You can decide when it's going to be, all right? And the one for the Thursday, January 20th, this one, Thursday, January 20th, is a 3 to 5 period. If it is that you are unable or having some challenges in that time slot, you write way in advance to the major project coordinator, which is me, Suzanne Muir. You write to say that could we get sometime after 5 o'clock, and you write in advance. You don't send it right. So last year, I don't know why, the final Viva, lots of groups at the last minute just did not show up. That will result in a failure. So what happened last year won't be happening this academic year. So if you do that, there will be penalties. I mean, penalties that you will earn. And we're not being unreasonable. This is just what it is. Right. So back to this. So in addition to the students having requirements, so the last thing is that you must meet with your supervisor. So of course, sometimes you may not meet a meeting. You would tell your supervisor, you know, just do show for months, which I've experienced it myself. And then say, I was busy. You have to email the supervisor and then want to know when the supervisor is saying, well, their individual contribution is low, but no, you're required. It's like this meeting with the supervisor is like a class. The supervisor is only required to meet you minimum twice per semester. I mean, it can be more, so we'd encourage more often than that. But the meetings with the supervisors are required unless you are ill. So you work what time for you and your supervisor to meet so that the supervisor can give you feedback. And you're supposed to take notes of the meeting with your supervisor. We also suggest that if possible, you take notes of your meeting with other students. Right, so of course the supervisor, him or herself also has things that he or she is supposed to do. Minimum twice per week. I would recommend at least once a month. And there's an ethics application, and that ethics application should be looked at carefully by the supervisor, and there's a place for signature. For all throughout the whole project, the supervisor clearly is to give feedback to the students. If the supervisor is taking very long, then that's a problem. So you can contact the major project coordinator, and you know who that person is. But before you get to that, you want to be in a friendly way, interact. I saw last year that there were some kind of very terse ways in which people were both supervisors and students were talking to each other. I don't know if it's because of COVID, but there seem to be more negative interactions than ever. So you guys need to find ways to be respectful to your supervisor where possible before you call in the major project. And by the way, and also, if you want to write about your supervisor, and it might even be true, be respectful. I mean, I saw some students write something and I'm like, wow, you need to be respectful. It can be accurate, but there's a way to be accurate and still be respectful in your report. Yeah. So I'm not saying you shouldn't express your challenges, and of course do that, but please do it in a way that is, can we call it professional, suitable. Your supervisor should help you with the mini Viva and the final Viva, give you some feedback when you practice. You can do that with anybody else. You can do it with other students, with other lecturers, whatever. But whatever, you should get somebody to give you some feedback before you actually go to the actual Viva presentation. And then the supervisor grades. There are 4 components. There is the proposal, the content assessment, the final project, and there's the final Viva. So the supervisor doesn't grade your Viva. Supervisor grades your proposal. Content assessment is an individual assessment, and chapters 1 to 5 or the final project is really about your individual contribution to the whole project. So it could be that if you have 5 of you, it could be that 3 of you, like the project is actually A+ project and it gets 95%. But it could be that one person gets 85 and another person gets 40 because they did almost no work or putting the 0. So just because the project is an A+ project doesn't mean that everybody gets an A+. Everybody understand why I'm saying that? I would hope so. I don't think I need to say more about that. So any question about the requirements of the students and requirements of the supervisor? Or comments? Not as yet? Okay, I'm going to continue. So you guys did 3 academic writing courses, at least academic writing 1 and 2, and the computing research methods class. It was an academic writing project. So major project, you're going to do more academic writing. So For this semester, the goal is to write 3 chapters: the introduction, literature review, and the methods and procedure chapter. In order to do that, the first thing you have to do is a application. The first part of creating your application is to actually do the introductory chapter, which you all did CRM already, or a few we are still doing it now. And you all know what it is involved: is to write a background with citations, to have a problem statement, to say the purpose of the project, to state the research question or questions. Remember, we don't want more than 3 typically. 1 is fine if it's a great research question. You want to say the expected benefits of the project, how you're going to narrow the project into a scope. You define the keywords. Usually those words are in these terms defined are the ones that are usually in the research questions, and you're going to have the references which will be cited in the background. Hopefully you already know what all this means, and clearly you're going to like avoid plagiarism. So this was on the screen here, you know, already said all reference authors and paraphrase expressions of authors. So you're going to use synonyms, inversion, different structure. You can read this because, as somebody pointed out earlier, where will this be found? It will be placed in the Google Classroom for major projects. And the reason why we're using Google, not Moodle, is because some persons, currently it's a year-long course, and some people are going to register this semester, some next semester. We want everybody to have access. So guys, you're going to have access even if you haven't registered as yet, but please don't major project is only for people who have already passed computing research methods RES 2024, or it could be somebody who is doing RES 3024 now, but that really should be exceptional cases. Really should be people who have done it already. And everybody who's going to do the mini vivo will, without exception, be persons who have passed computing research methods. So back to my story. So we're going to just look at that. So everybody knows what plagiarism is. Don't plagiarize. Put things in your own words, and things that you put in your own words, you also have to cite to show that where you got this fact or idea from. You can actually also use software to see if there seems to be plagiarism in your document, and then you can make corrections. This is from a presentation I made before I didn't take it out. So we all know the abstract is a summary of a paper, and you're going to write an abstract. So we're not worrying about the abstract right now. So I actually have on the screen an abstract for a paper I presented along with 4 students from, I think it's 2018 or 2018 at a conference. And at the end of it, the abstract is very short. And the reason I put this one on the screen is that this has the methods. So in the methods, it tells us the research design. It's a cross-sectional study. It tells us about the population and sample, because the population is patients and physicians. It tells us about the age range of the population. It tells us where these people are settling, these 3 parishes. It tells us the sampling method, convenience sampling. It actually gives us a little bit about what is done in terms of development. A mobile app on Android. It tells us what it tracks: blood sugar, blood pressure, weight, and diet. It tells us about, it was a mixed methods project, so they also collected interviews, both of physicians and patients. In fact, interviews of physicians and observed the patients using the app. So that's enough succinct. So reason for this right now is nothing to worry about my project. Is to say that when you're writing your application for submission to the committee, you're going to have a little short method. So like this method is very short. This actually tells us succinctly, or in other words, concisely, what the people did for the project, which is all of us, all these 5 students and me, we did this. And this was the objective of the project. So you already know quite well, I think, how to write this. Well, people know it at different levels. but we want this for the application, this, as well as a short methods. So that's just why I have this on the screen, just to remind you as to what is typically in methods. By the way, you can have a methods project that doesn't have people in there. It doesn't have to have survey of people. It should be other kind of data sets that you're using. Right? It could even be secondary data. So I know that there are at least 2 projects that have been proposed that are using secondary data sets that have already existed. All right. So this is some material you can look up about how to write an abstract, which might be relevant because basically what we're asking to do for the application is to write the abstract of what the project is about. So you can look at that on your own time. And then this is a bit premature at this point, but you know that before the semester ends, you want you to write a lit review for your project. All lit reviews will have an introduction and a summary and a reference list. And basically it's organized in some way. The middle section is called the body, and it's usually organized by themes and subtopics. I'm not here to talk about how to do it. And then we know that in general, the reason why you're reading the literature, I mean, if you have brainstormed, you need to find some way to justify the project. So is it that we don't have enough evidence about this area? Is it that we don't know anything about a particular population? Is it that the methods are problematic? There are all of these things and you can read up about them, because basically if you have a project and you don't have a particular research gap that justifies the project, then why exactly are you doing the project? Because just to remind you, academic research is about finding solutions to problems that nobody in the world knows the answer to. Can you imagine? And it's also about getting knowledge that people, like experts, don't know the answer to. And it really should be one or the other or both. Right? So you're going to be looking for research gaps in, your supervisor is there to help you. And I guess I could be here to help you as well. Right, and then the necessary procedure, we talked about that earlier. We must talk about the research design, the sampling, the data collection instruments, the procedures, the ethical considerations, methodological limitations, and the timeline. This is the actual chapter. So for this, by the end of this semester, you are going to be writing chapters 1 to 3, but before that, you're going to write the concept note or the application. And then I have some resources that you can look at, writing research papers, useful resources, stuff about oral presentations, professional limitations, and stuff that's actually for presentation, which I might give at the next time. Yes, and that's it for right now. Let's look at the time. Right, it's 3:35. Any comments or questions about what I have shared so far?
Miss, I just wanted to say that would we be able to have access to the PowerPoint that you just presented?
So Tia, I guess you came in late. What I said, everybody's saying the same thing. Yeah. So let me. Yeah. So there is. Let's see. Can I find it? Yeah. So there is a Google Classroom. I don't know, how do I share this without? Do I actually want to share all this in so the short answer is yes. I have not. How do I do this quickly? Can't do this quickly. I don't have it on that at all. So this is. What's this? So I was already in it. So where's my Google Classroom? So I didn't want to do it, but I didn't. Since I didn't create it since I didn't create the link in advance, I just find the link. Yeah. So this is it. So it has nothing. Or did I put something in there? I don't think I did. So let's see now. How do we? Somebody help me. How do I find the share? It's a good question. People invest. Yes, there we go. Oh no, you can just do this. Copy invite link. All right, so we're actually in this. Oh, there's a YouTube video. Some message. Where's my message? Sorry, I think I'm tired. I don't think I'm very tired. Oh, here we go, chat. Yes. So let's start with this. Right, so that's the Google Classroom. Sorry to be like, that's the Google Classroom that currently that does not have the slideshow, which I guess I could put on right now. So I'm maybe, don't know, should I put it on in the middle of the thing? I don't want to do that. So the short answer is, sorry, can anybody join that classroom? Let's just check first, since you're all here live. Has anybody joined? Come again? Oh yes, so Sabrina has joined, right? So that's the classroom, but right now it's empty. So maybe let me at least put that on right now. So there's a whole bunch of things. So the next thing I should show is I think I should put on 3 things right now. I've just been going from meeting to meeting, and really it's no excuse, but I'm just like too busy. Yeah. Oh, going back to the classroom. So can I find it? So where is this classroom? Ah, here it is. Cancel stream classroom. So I can. Have I stopped sharing this room? Yes, I think I have. Right. So I'm going to put right now in my classroom something. So up here. It's not creating. I don't know. Oh, here it goes. Announce the class. Okay, I'm going to upload bro. Sorry, I'm actually uploading while we're talking, which is probably a good thing in a way, because the rate I'm going, if I don't do it right the second, maybe you're like, where is it? So, post. So it's been uploaded, the slideshow. Sabrina, are you seeing it? Or, I mean, less than a minute if you see. I don't know how long, you know, on the cloud it's going to take to upload. Nobody's seeing it? Hello? Nobody's seeing it?
Some persons are seeing it. I am
Okay.
seeing it.
Okay, good. I'm gonna upload 3 files right now, because I was actually updating them right up to the meeting. And there's one more thing that's being updated right now as we're speaking by somebody else. So I want to show you the application form. We still need some tweaking. So let's. Okay. All right, so you have a second file. And then the last thing I'm going to put is okay, so we have 3 things just uploaded. So Let me go back to sharing my screen. Somebody said not seeing it, but you're not seeing Martha. Oh, people said they're seeing it now. All right, so just I see about groups. Just a reminder, groups are usually expected to be 3 to 5. And let me just explain what I mean by usually 3 to 5. No group can ever be more than 5. There might be some exceptional cases where we might allow 2. No, there'll be no major project with just 1 person. So groups of 3 to 5, never more than 5. We recommend 4 or 5. Anybody not understand that? So don't send me an email. Don't come talk to me. Don't come don't come to UTech to say, can we just, no, it's never going to be okay. So don't even come about it. Please just don't anybody waste your breath. Don't send an email. Don't talk about your exceptional circumstances. Don't say you're confused. Anybody not following what I'm saying? I'm just sure that everybody's hearing me. So great. All right. So the thing about it, I've had some challenges getting as much cooperation from staff, because in the context of COVID, I think both students and staff are somewhat stressed or tired or both. And so in the context of all of us being challenged in our own ways, and trust me, everybody's challenged in their own ways. Sorry, show of hands, anybody who's not challenged, please. Anybody who's not challenged, I have work to give you. So anybody to show of hands, not challenged? Oh, David Smith. Great, David. We can talk. I can give you some work. Oh, glad to know 1 person not challenged. Any comment, David? David, don't want to say anything though. Yeah, so I just wanted to share my screen again. And so we can see that I had shared online this list of potential major project supervisors. There might be 1 more person I didn't put on this list. So Mr. Graham is on leave and Mr. McGowan is on leave. I understand that he's willing to supervise the group anyway, but technically they're both on leave right now. This should be a complete list, except for it does not include the animation lecturers who typically don't supervise BSc computing projects. 1 of them is on leave of the animation. There's an assistant lecturer who's not on this list, but who's not required to supervise, so he's not on this list. So Mr. Williams, now he's on secondment. He usually supervises more than 1 project. So I don't know if he interacts with this email or another one. So if you have a way to contact him, he probably be willing to supervise if either you and him can find a good project. So this is a list. The only other person that's on this list would be 1 of the twins, like probably, if you guys know what I'm talking about. If you know the twins who are in animation, 1 tends to be willing to supervise projects. And if you can talk and that's truth, then you can add that person. I'm not going to put it formally on that list. So this is the list. It's in the classroom. And then what's also in the classroom is, let's open it up, is this is the short version of the topics. So some lectures gave me a longer version. So this is the short version. So basically, Mr. White gave me 2 topics that are the short versions here. Sharisha gave me 1 topic, well, that's already been taken by a group. Shasha and Michelle, by the way, this topic, applications of IoT devices for plant management, this means agriculture, as in plants outside, not plants that create goods. So plant management on urban school campuses. Christopher Panther, IoT, smart smoke and fire detector. Correct, Scarlett, application of machine learning for public data set. I've gotten 2 proposals so far, both relating to health, but I actually put here that my second area in general would be tech entrepreneurship. I'm not really too sure I'm wanting to go anywhere beyond 2 projects. I have so many things going on. So I have two groups that have approached me with decent topics. So it seems like probably I think I don't know if I want to go to a third, but who knows? We'll see. But as I told you all earlier, I'm willing to what I want to call second supervised projects. But that needs some conversation. Dr. Damitz Wickroniaki has a very interesting topic, crypto acceptability in Jamaica as a currency. Actually, I've written description of it. Yes, Mr. Clark, you have your hand raised.
Good afternoon, Miss Mayor. I have a question. Are we supposed to set a meeting with you to tell us our topic, or
Okay,
oh,
so let me go back. Well, I explained this last time, so let me explain it. So let me go back and explain. So here's a basic process. Here's a list. I was going to do it after this. Here's a list of the topics that I know about. So I know that Mr. Wright has a set of students who propose something to him. So these are the topics that I know about. There's even some other project that I don't know what is the topics or heard. Yeah, these are topics I know about because supervisors have emailed me or students have emailed me, basically. This is the approach. It's either you email or first contact the supervisor to ask, has anybody already taken the topic? So for example, this is Mr. White. This has been now out for 3 weeks. So you know when he came last time, it was here. For those who were here 3 weeks ago. So for those who did not, like, you might want to ask Mr. White, has these topics already been taken before you sit down and write about whole concept note? So there's a list of topics here. You may want to, before you write a whole proposal, you might want to talk and say, when's your deadline? Do you still have space for the whatever? So you may want to have a conversation. But outside of this list of topics and applying for it with the supervisor, you can also come up with your own topics. So there have been quite a number of groups coming up with topics. I'm going to a number of supervisors I know about, and they're not all here on this list. Not even the topic. So, like, for example, there's a topic that's already been agreed, and sounds like a reasonable topic about something related to deaf students. There's another topic about this one here by David Wright, some security. Like several topics that are actually fine. As far as I know, it's the students going with those topics. But if you're going to propose a topic, you have to. The first step is to find a supervisor or somebody to give feedback. So I could give feedback. But then after the supervisor tentatively accepts the topic and your group, then there still needs to be a second step, which is an application to a committee. And the primary goal of that is to make sure that all projects are at a primary basic bar. Because guess what's been happening for a while now, guys? People will do a topic and they get to January or even sometimes get all the way down to summer. And the topic fundamentally have problems. We don't want to be doing a topic that is fundamentally problematic. So we're going to have an application process to say, we have some concerns and this is how we suggest that you tweak it, either tweak it in this way or this way. So we cannot solve those problems before you go too far. Does that clarify?
yes, Miss Mayor, thank you.
Okay, great. So I was just quickly going through. So for those who were here last time, we saw the two topics by Mr. White, and these are now on the we saw those two topics. We saw this last time as well. So we actually spent some time just looking at how would we do the research, if you remember. And for those who want, you can go back to the YouTube channel and see what we did with that. This one wasn't here, so I don't know if anybody has contacted her. I doubt it. So this is a new topic, meaning it wasn't publicly available. So Seychelle, remember all the emails are there on the platform right now. Mr. Panton last time had already given this topic, so it was there from 3 weeks ago. Mr. Scarlett, he had a long list of things that wasn't focused in this way. It was computer science. I have no idea if any student has contacted us yet. And as I told you, I have two major interests right now. I have others too, but tech entrepreneurship and health. Damit is wanting to look at crypto acceptability in Jamaica as a currency. Mrs. McNamara wants to look at data mining with COVID-19 data. Dr. Falk has a very long list and I need to find this list, but if you're serious, you can just contact him to find out his list. As you, in case you don't know, Mr. Falk is the head of school and he's a PhD in security and he's doing a lot of publishing. So if you have a serious interest in security, you may want to contact him if you want to explore research in security. Mr. Dega has 2 topics on security, blockchain beyond 5G and 5G technologies and COVID-19 truth or myth. And Mr. Eze Theo has actually more than 2. I just put 2 here. It's actually a long, it's about 5 things. I just put 2 on this list. So, and there are networking applications, one about, well, this is what I selected. There are actually more. Energy consumption with campus networks in some kind of environmental friendly design integration infrastructure. And the other one that I wrote, he had about 5 or 6. The one I selected that's tentatively good. I mean, there are many others that are good. Is looking at software-defined network security protocols, interfaces, application design for Internet of Things. Actually, Jamaica is what the whole thing says. It's actually a longer title than that. Mr. Wright, I got an email with the exact topic that some students want to do with him. Dr. Faces Shaw, I know she had gotten some specific emails from students. I don't know if it's been agreed. She's interested. She has her PhD looking at gamification with learning, so that's not surprising. There was a list of topics with the Office of Distance Learning on Moodle data analysis tool and a module reset application software, but this is not with any particular supervisor. So if we want to do that, we have to find a supervisor who wants to look at that. And I know that Dwight Thomas, Derek Logan, both told me that people have been talking to them. Madam Charlotte Graham Edwards also has at least one group of students with a long list of topics. Right, so that's the list of topics. All right, so back to any questions. So you all now have access to that list of potential supervisors, the short list of major project topics that I know about, as well as the slideshow I just showed. Any question or concern? So no question or concern. So now the next thing now is the application process. So let me find it first. The thing is, all right. Where can I find this thing? Let me just give me 1 second. So you know, I think it was in my inbox. So it's not. Yes. Why is this thing telling me this? I'm trying to understand why. Okay, I just want to show you. So, all right, just give me a second. There it is. So, sorry, this needs some questions. People are still coming in. So, this probably still needs a little bit of work, and I will share it on the classroom shortly. Please, unless you have a specific question, please mute your mic. Please and thanks. So this is just a reminder that this is a goal for this semester as a subject. You should meet with your supervisor, even though it's 2 is the minimum technically, I suggest at least 3 meetings, you keep the meeting notes. In fact, your 2 reasons too, we are requiring it, as well as supervisors usually give valuable feedback and then the students like, forget it, craziness. So you need to keep some notes of what the supervisor is saying. You're going to, in fact, probably I should put before this, is that you're going to be, in addition to that, you're going to be doing the application. I'm going to put that on this list. The application, as in application for the major project. So there's major project application, ethics application, writing of chapter 1 to 3, preparation for mini viva, and validated results. So by the end of the semester, if you haven't done it yet, you need to make sure that your research methods is passed, so that when you're only going to allow people to go to mini viva who have CRM passed. So your project should have a short title. There are only 3 types of major projects. So we are encouraging research and new development as the primary modus operandi, which means that it would have at least 1 research question, and it's going to, a mini development would have a development, like a prototype or some other kind of artifact. Now, today I'm not going to show you the grading scheme. There are different grading schemes for all these 3. That's another day. But by the way, you could possibly switch, but here's the thing. Unless it is that your project is such a development is not a good idea, you should be doing some kind of prototype development. There's some projects that are suitable for research only, but that's why you bring in your project to an application committee, so the application committee can make assessment of if this has been appropriate. And then the major development is where you're going to get 50% of your grade at the final viva from the major development. So it should be that most of the team are, people who like to build and program and are going to do a serious job at the start by January. This thing where you're trying to do a major development and do it like in a month, not going to work. So those are the 3 choices. You're going to write an abstract about your project. You're going to do this last, as you don't do this at the beginning. But so basically you're going to have your supervisor, something that will do it. Sorry, we need to figure out a way that it, but the point is we need to verify that there is the supervisors really agreed. I'm not sure we've actually sorted out. We did talk about it in our staff meeting as to how to verify that the supervisor really is has agreed to the project. But for the moment, we'll leave it alone. And you could have a secondary supervisor. That's optional. And then the group is going to have a minimum of 2, but we did usually 3, maximum of 5. And so this is interesting. I think this was here before. Have all the members passed it? This is yes or no. That's interesting. Yeah. The only thing about this is that technically everybody should already pass it already, but some people are doing it now. But certainly, if you don't all pass it by the end of this semester, that'll be to suffer. And if you're doing major project and you fail your RES 3024, UTEC's policy, with good reason, is not with full grades. So I don't know why people keep sending me emails about they did something with me 1 year ago, 1 semester ago, and yes, guys, stop doing it. Do the class when you're ready to do it. Short advice. Something in the chat. Can I repeat? Sure. I said that UTEC's policy, with good reason, is not to hold grades. You're basically saying staff should mark your work and hold the grades when you have not paid the institution. No can do. So if it is that you don't qualify for major project, yeah. You want to come to the meeting? 1 second, guys. Yes, I'm in the meeting. I should try it now because I'm going through this talking. I haven't shared it with them. I can refresh it. Why? But one thing though, I Yeah, I haven't shared it with them. I'm just talking. Yeah. Yeah, I'm here because, yeah. Yeah, I told them that, but the thing about this is that this could be, I hear you, but the problem is if 4 people have passed it and 1 person is doing it, no.
They still can go through. It won't stop them.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So, yeah, so that's nice to go through.
Right, anyway, so here I am. Sorry, somebody's helping me with this form, which is still,
I'll come into the meeting.
yeah, man. You have the link, right? It's the same one from before. All right, yeah. Right, so where am I? The, right, so in terms of the, oh, this is really basically saying that when you have done, when you did the, hold on, this is interesting. So this is, oh, it actually gives specific years also. Oh, I guess you can put in others. This is interesting. Yeah, the form has been updated. Anyway, so this is for you to put, oops, continue. This is to put, I just keep doing this. Sorry about that. Right, so this is to put the, when you did CRM, so we can check it. What if people have not completed search methods? The group member, that person's ID, email, and then for each person, their ID and email, etc. And then for your concept notes, you're going to make sure that it contains the background, the problem statement, the research questions, purpose, methods. This is, so if this doesn't apply to you, you can put in not applicable and references. Then you're going to upload it for the committee. And in case you have any concerns, you can add it. And the application date should be going automatically. Yeah, that's it. That will be, oh, you have something in the chat. Hold on. So let me now go to this. So Celine says, okay, I did repeat. Celine says, do we really, no, you don't need 2 supervisors. So 2 supervisors are optional. Most groups will only have 1 supervisor. A second supervisor is only if you want. I can think of a group last year that it was Tyrone Edwards, and Nadine Maitland, and I think Jenny's Little. I think it was 3 supervisors. So there have been groups that most groups normally have 1 supervisor, but sometimes it even has up to 3. So I didn't even put in a space for the 3rd supervisor. Maybe I should have. So no, a second supervisor is optional. Right. Next comment, right? Cassandra is correct. Johnson says, no, you do not, but you could have those something. Right, right, great. Any other question or concern? So I guess maybe we should just basically upload this maybe today, because I know some people, but is there anybody who's ready with your concept notes? Because basically I'm really not so concerned from a point of view of managing the system about just your topic and the supervisor. We're really concerned about you actually having a full concept note. Not a perfect concept note, but something that, yeah, you know what the project is about, and yes, it makes sense to a committee. And I've tried to explain why. The why is we're not trying to stop you from doing any project that is worth doing. We're trying to make sure that if you're doing something that's about to fail, we say, let's steer you in the right direction so that failure is less likely.
Sorry, Ms. Miller, David here. Can you repeat the last question?
What do you mean last question? I didn't have a question. Means last point?
Yeah, the last point, sorry.
Oh, I saying the primary reason why we're having a application. So usually there's always an application form, but the application form did not go to a committee. It will just go to the supervisor. Actually putting it formally as a whole committee The reason for that, and it normally would just be a short description. This is now the whole concept note. So I've expanded the process of the application. And I'm giving you the rationale just to be leaving open clarity about what's happening. The reason for it is that we want all projects to be preferably good or great. But there's some projects that are weak. And if the project is weak conceptually, we want to steer the group in the right direction. So look at the concept node as in the application and say, there are some challenges and concerns about this. Let's fix it from the outset. Mr. Smith, how do you hear me now?
Yeah, so my group did a draft concept note and sent it to our proposed supervisor, and we have a meeting Monday, so I was just confused as if the application is different from the concept note.
The application includes a concept note. I just showed you. Basically, application is just, here's my supervisor, here's my title of the part. Sorry, all the application is it includes a concept note and all the logistic details. Like as in, here are all our group members with email ID number. Here is what else is there? This is the type of project. Is it research only, research and mini development, research and major development? It's just some specifics about how to contact you and what type of major project and the concept note. Is it more than that? And have you passed CRM already? I mean, maybe I missed something, but that's really it. It's detailed about all the group members, what type of major project. Have you passed CRM? And so that's when did you take it? And here's the concept note for our group. You get that feedback first from your supervisor before you send that through to the application committee. Well, we have 50 people here. Is there anybody puzzled by what I just said? All right, so that's my major presentation today. I mean, the last thing would be just to upload the application form onto the Google Classroom. So really, the rest of the time today is really for questions. The next time we meet is for ethics presentation, and the next thing right now is if it is that anybody has a particular question about your proposed idea, we could take it. I could even take down the live streaming so that's not public. So I would suggest if you have something specific to your group that we don't do that. We could be public with everybody, but don't record it on YouTube, you know. But let's first go to like major project itself. Anybody has some concerns or questions about major project? So I think that the 50 other of you are good.
Excuse me, when is the application to be submitted?
Were you here from the scratch?
No, miss, my internet kept going in and out, so I didn't catch everything.
Oh, I see. That's why it was okay. Well, application start in application start. Let's call it this month. Application start as soon as it's on the Google Classroom. So right now we would love the application to finish by the end of November. So I haven't shared the link, but basically no, guys, it's not for you to send an application until you get a supervisor, as in somebody, another lecturer, whoever the lecturer is, needs to say, yes, I agree to, I like this concept note and I agree to be a supervisor. So the application is not for a committee first to see it for the first time. It's for somebody else to see it, and we're all saying, yeah, we're thinking that this is our topic, this is our concept note, this is our supervisor. So it's right now we want everybody to do that at the latest by the end of November. But notice, according to this, in a best case scenario, which may not be happening in reality, best case scenario, we do a draft literature review. What I personally, between me and you, when I supervise students, you see how this says draft chapters 1 to 3? What I tell students I supervise for years now. This might not between you and the supervisor. I tell everybody, it's January about 3rd. I want everybody in all groups I supervise to have a really good version of chapters 1 to 3. Because I don't care whether you finish it December 1st or December 15th or December 31st. But I don't want you to go into the beginning of the new semester without having a very good version of chapters 1 to 3. So I personally tend to say, yeah, I extend it. But the point is, if you push this back way too much, it leads to major problems. And I've already heard from some lecturers that people are being told that, oh, you can do all the major projects in semester 2. That's exactly why people were it was such a fiasco last year, because people were pushing it back, and it was just not good. There are so many problems last year. It's a 2-semester thing, and if you push everything back, you're gonna have problems. So long and short is, we would like at the latest you to give an application that is passable in October or November. That is what we're hoping for right now. I was sharing the screen. Let me share the screen. I don't think I was sharing the screen, was I? I was looking at it and not sharing the screen. Hold on. All right, so this is coming in. All right, so what I was saying is, this is the November. So I'm saying, if people don't give it in, I guess we might accept past that, but really we're not, and it's also the committee need to meet. So if you guys are giving in applications, I don't know, at a certain point we'll just say, well, okay, I guess you're doing a major project next year. I say next year now, next academic year. This is not a rolling thing that goes on indefinitely. So these were the dates for those who came in late. These are the dates. So we're saying that you're aiming to have an application at the latest at the end of November, preferably before that. You are, if you're really previous and you had your ethics application, your thing approved, then of course you can start submitting the ethics application as soon as you can. We're saying to you that the latest you should be giving it in this February. You could possibly give it in the March and still charge for May, but you're giving yourself way too much stress. That's not worth it. So you want to be giving in an application for ethics as soon as it's humanly possible. And you want
Excuse
to
me, Professor. Excuse me,
Yes?
Professor. Celine is asking.
Sure.
So, can you just remind me when you will upload the Google form that needs to be filled out? Can you remind me of the date again, please? Celine is asking.
I guess. I think I would say do it by tomorrow, because it's almost finished, but it's just needs a little tweaking by tomorrow.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Right, so these are the dates. The mini Viva is January 20th. The final Viva is May 17th. There will be 3 kinds of competitions, written paper competition. By the way, these are going to have money prizes. So we will announce the money prizes when I get the specifics about them. So there'll be for the best prototype, the best poster, and the best paper. If you don't pass in May, you'll need to redo the project in July. We're going to have a series of major project meetings. The next one should be October 28th. The ethics committee chair is coming there. That's basically everything else you can look. I don't know. So if there's no further questions, I'm going to stop the live streaming on YouTube. Any big questions? Gloria, do you have a question?